Hey y'all, so yesterday I was in this meeting with Unleash That Woman. If you're not in the community, y'all should join the community, okay? It is amazing, okay? Like, and the meeting last night really proves that. I was in that meeting last night and the topic was basically like, what's that hard thing that's stopping you from taking the next step? Like everyone's in, probably they're in different seasons, in the same season as somebody else, but still there's that hard thing that's stopping you from taking the next step. And for me, I literally had to write it down because I thought I was going to forget. But I said, the hard thing that's stopping me from taking the next step was that the fact that I'm having to go from hard season to hard season. And I've been feeling like that for a while now. Like, I don't have those seasons where I could just like chill. Like, I'm just being, Like, I now it's to a point where there's just huge challenge that I have to face before I can keep going, Anyways, but yeah, that's what I said, going from hard season to hard season. Now, God has had me in the book of Daniel for some time now, and I didn't know why. I thought I knew why last week, but then it just kept snowballing. And but finally he gave me some more revelation today, and I was like, okay. And I'm so sorry. And so if you haven't read the book of Daniel, you really should go read it. But if you don't know, the book of Daniel, like the beginning of it, is closely tied to 2 Kings 24th chapter. And if you read that, you'll know that King Jehoiakim, who was the king over Jerusalem at that time, he basically was taxing the people. Like, he was like, give me almost all your money. And the money you use, we all got the same 24 hours. Like, that's what he was saying, basically. And, but the money that he was taking from the citizens of Jerusalem, he was given to King Nebuchadnezzar and also other kings and whatever for, like, safety, yeah. Anyways, these are supposed to be God's people. So King Jehoiakim, yeah. But the next thing that happens is King Nebuchadnezzar, he besieges Jerusalem, and he basically walks in there. He's like, okay, I want all your children. He really did say that. He's like, I want all your children, the children who look like they can learn the language of the Chaldeans, the children who know science and all that, I want them. And so King Jehoiakim has no choice. He gives him the children. And then King Nebuchadnezzar is like, okay, I never want to see these children until 3 years from now, where they've eaten the meat that I've given them and they've drank the wine that I give them. Get them out my face. And that's what happens, And if you continue reading, you know that the 4 Hebrew boys, they were like, no, I'm not eating that. I'm not drinking that. Can you just give me vegetables and some water and I'll be Gucci? And that's what happens. They allow them to only eat the vegetables and have water. Now, the 4 Hebrew boys, they are people who went from hard season to hard season, okay? Until they didn't, right? And they grew up in a place where they learned to reverence God. Like, they learned who God was for themselves. They had that deep relationship with God, which is why they were like, no, I'm not about to eat the king's meat. I'm not about to drink the king's wine. Give me what I can eat according to the law of my God, and we'll go about our days. And so what they did was, they did not forget the last thing God told them to do. Because, I'm pretty sure God ain't told them, like, okay, y'all are about to go into captivity in Babylon, even though y'all are in Jerusalem struggling to make ends meet. Like, he didn't, God probably didn't say all that. But he knew his servants. He knew the heart of his servants. He knew what they would do, that they would not succumb to whatever King Nebuchadnezzar had going on in the world, But even though they were in captivity, even though they were going from hard season of being in poverty to a hard season of being in captivity, they did not forget the last thing God told them. And so while they were in this hard season again, they still continued along with what they knew to do. Because God has never failed them. And so they were like, okay, even though in the past hard season, it was getting kind of rocky to trust him, because why am I going through this? Now I'm in captivity, and I'm kind of struggling to keep on trusting God. I'm still trusting. And if you don't know, in the next season of Daniel's life, he gets promoted by the king. He gets promoted so much, he puts in a request to the king to promote the three friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, to reign over provinces of Babylon, the place that they were held in captivity in. Not just that, Daniel was, let me read his resume. The king answered unto Daniel and said, of a truth it is that your God is a God of gods and a Lord of kings and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal the secret. Then the king made Daniel a great man and gave him many great gifts and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. But not only that, after Daniel requested that his friends be over the affairs of the province of Babylon, it says, but Daniel sat in the gate of the king. Now listen, if you don't know about the gates back then, about how if you sat in the gate, even if it's just the city's gates, like you sat in the gate of the city, these gates were not ordinary gates like that you may think. These gates, if you remember Jericho, people lived in the gates of Jericho. There were many apartments in the gates of Jericho. So think about it like that. There's an outer gate, there's space, and then there's an inner gate. People lived in the gates. Now it says Daniel sat in the gates. In the gates, if we remember Boaz from the book of Ruth, when he went to the gate and he sat at the gate, you would notice that the people who were at the gates were people who had authority, people who had words of wisdom, people who came because justice was given at the gates. So not only was Daniel sat at the gate, but he was sat at the gate of the king. Okay, so listen, I'm just saying, yes, we may go from hard season to hard season, and we feel like we want to give up, but remember Galatians 6 and 9, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I can't really remember, but it says, do not grow weary, for when the time comes, you will reap. Basically, if you don't give up. So it's conditional. It's conditional. Yeah. Wow, God is good. Like, I literally was just thinking about that yesterday. Like, God, when can I get a break? But apparently he was all like, well, baby, just read what I done showed you. And yeah, so that was fun. I really love God because he's amazing. So if you feel like you're going from hard season to hard season, girl, don't give up. Don't give up. Because I promise you will reap what you have put in. God hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't left you. He loves you deeply. He loves you deeply. So, keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. And you'll be all right. All right? Have a good day.